if you pull a short stick and then get something that you don't like, you might have to stick with it until you can transfer or something like that. And normally they ask you to wait a couple of years before you transfer.
Okay. That's
And
something.
yeah, that is something to think about. And that's, I mean, I have to say that off the record, even though, I mean, it's going to be on the record.
Yeah.
It's going to be in the video, but that's definitely not something IBM is going to tell you. Disclaimer, I do not represent IBM, and anything I say in this video, anything we talk about in this video does not represent IBM in any way. All right.
Yeah. My name is Roan Basco.
Yeah, and Rowan is going to be a future apprentice at IBM. Is that correct?
Yes.
And he just had a few questions for me. And I've been getting some people asking me questions like this too, and I haven't had time to answer them. So I thought maybe I could knock out two birds with one stone and make some content while, helping the community out a bit with answering their apprenticeship questions. So yeah, Rowan, do you want to start off with a question for me?
Yes. So I guess my first question would be, so for the apprenticeship, what was the training portion like? Like, what was the day-to-day, um, I guess, schedule of the training portion?
Okay, so what kind of apprenticeship are you entering?
So right now I'm in the application developer apprenticeship.
Okay, so that's the same one I was in. And so they say my job description was that we got a year to complete the training and then move on to the next role potentially.
Mhm.
And what that meant was, so day to day we'd go in and we'd look at these modules and we would try to complete them, as fast as possible, pretty much. And you're not like rushed or anything. No one's like looking over your shoulder. Like they're not micromanaging you. They're really lax with us and really understanding. Some people, learn faster. Some people didn't have a technical background, so they took a little bit longer, and they take all that into account. So, does that answer your question, or do you want to like know more like more technical, like what you'll be learning?
Um, yes, but also, so when you say that pretty much you're completing modules, is that more of like, so pretty much you're doing it at more of a self-paced type rate, or do they have like any type of structure? You know how sometimes, they want to do like a morning stand up, and then after they'll be like, okay, you guys can go complete your modules, and then we'll meet back at this time, and then so forth.
Yeah, it's a great question. So, we did have. Sorry about that. My daughter is screaming in the background. But yeah, so we did have daily stand-ups. So they taught you go through extra classes depending on who your manager is and stuff like that. So we had to take Scrum classes. So you learn like agile development and stuff in those classes too. And to practice that, we'd have a stand-up meeting every morning. We would take turns being the Scrum Master, and that gave you some good experience. Just about how like the day to day goes, like in your job after you finish the apprenticeship.
Okay.
And so once that's done, like you'll tell them what blockers you have, what you're working on today, what you worked on the day before. And that way they can facilitate you if you need some help or something like that too.
Okay. So as far as I'm glad you brought up the help. I know they spoke about each, I guess, people having mentors.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as the mentors, how often do you usually get, I guess, feedback or um, guidance from your mentors during the apprenticeship?
So we had a really active mentor, and she actually helped all of us at once. She had like 15 people, and she really went above and beyond. And, we had another group of apprentices in the same building that had a mentor per every like two people or something like that. And it they're not really going to be the ones always helping you directly. Maybe you need some help, and they can find the correct resource to help you with whatever problem that you're having. Let's say you're having a problem making in the JavaScript module, for example, where you're doing like web development. Then she'll help you. That person will help you find a resource or somebody to help you in that area.
Okay, that sounds good.
Mhm.
I guess now we can talk about mostly the training part. So, what exactly do they have? I guess apprentices learning. Is there like a, and also is there like a certain, I guess order they have you starting at? Like, do they have you starting at this one technology, then moving to kind of a ordered place, or is it kind of like you just kind of just have to learn all this and you kind of pick where you want to start?
So they're pretty lax with where you want to start. Um, so basically, you start off with the fundamentals of computer science, because a lot of people have no technical experience going into these apprenticeships. So, for example, we started off with CS50, and that's a really good basic fundamental course taught by the Harvard professors like David Malin or something like. I think that's his last name. But it's yeah, it's a great course. And also they teach you. There's like some courses on like basic corporate. Um, I wouldn't say lifestyle, but corporate rules and business guidelines and things like that, so that you also fit in on that side. So it'll help you fit in with the culture of the company too. So like for example, I came from a restaurant, so I didn't have much corporate experience. So you don't know how to navigate like emails and stuff like that. Just things that normal people in the corporate world deal with day to day.
Yeah, that sounds.
And so, for example, I said you start off with CS50, but if you want to, you can skip to a module down the line, and it doesn't really matter what like how you take it chronologically. You can move on to the web development module, or you can move on to the database administration module, or like the networking module. There's like a bunch of different. They split it up into a bunch of different categories that you know just try to piece together all of application development.
Okay.
There's like uh, continuous integration and development too. So you get a really good chunk of everything. And they
Okay.
try to get you to learn multiple languages too.
What languages do they usually, I guess, focus on?
So I wouldn't say there's like a main focus, because we went through C, we went through Python, JavaScript, Java. Uh, I think those were the main ones. And optionally, there's like another module that you learn 9 languages in 9 weeks or something. And I personally didn't do that one because I just wanted to finish the apprenticeship as soon as possible and get to like the job.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So is it? I guess since the training, I guess the training part is more self-paced. You start the actual work, I guess, depending on how fast you actually finish the training portion.
Yeah.
Oh,
So for example, I finished in 8 months.
mhm.
So I was able to get on a project and start being like producing actual work for clients and things like that
Okay.
at that mark.
Okay. And so do you feel like I guess IBM, gave you guys enough support during like the training and stuff, I guess for you to feel like you were able to succeed to go to the next level?
Oh yeah, I think so. And they really support you no matter like what your ambitions are too. Like for example, I wanted to be technical.
Yeah.
So, I started doing development and stuff like that. Whereas some people wanted to be managers. So they supported them in those uh with those ambitions too.
Okay. And I know that I will be in a cohort of other folks. So I guess as far as that part, how often do you really get to talk to your other cohort mates? Do you guys like mostly work individually in groups, or is it kind of like everyone's personal preference?
So it's really personal preference. And it's gonna be different for you because you're gonna be starting out remote. And I started out in the office, which I personally like remote, but I think for the apprenticeship it's really nice to have that camaraderie with other apprentices, even though like I didn't really interact with them that much. Like we all sat on one row, so we're all sitting next to each other all day. Sorry, all day, and it's just up to you whether you'd like to talk to your neighbors, or you like to ask for group collaboration, stuff like that. But yeah, a lot of the projects, depending on your manager, will require you to make your own like code and just your own entire project in itself. So sometimes you can't really collaborate very much, and it just depends on what your manager wants you to create.
Okay, that sounds good. So you go through the training portion, you go through the modules, then you get to so after you finish the training portion, how long do they usually have before they actually is it like immediately they start matching you up with or assigning you to clients, or is there usually like a buffer time for like, okay, just wait for a bit, we'll find you, I guess, something to assign you to, and then you'll start your actual work?
So I think it depends on the kind of training you accept during the apprenticeship, because during the apprenticeship, you might be approached by other people within the company with different types of training that will help you land clients as well. So, for example, in my case, they wanted people to join like this data team for for SAP, which I would be working with analyzing data, migrating data, and stuff like that. So they taught me like in addition to the apprenticeship training stuff, I had that stuff too. And since no one else really wanted to do that stuff, like the way I thought about it was, if no one wants to do it, but they want people to learn it, that must mean that there's demand in that area, right? And I wanted to increase my chances of getting on a client as soon as possible, because that means you're billable, you're bringing value to the company. And so, I learned that stuff and was able to get on a client right away. Some people, take a little bit longer, and it seems like it's their understanding of that too, because you want to do something that you want to do versus something you have to do, and you just have to balance that act, I guess.
Okay. So I guess my next question would be, as far as the clients, are you usually just working with one client during the apprenticeship, or is there probably a possibility that you could be working with multiple clients?
So during the apprenticeship, there's no clients.
Okay.
You're just working for IBM,
Okay.
because the way it what happens after is that you're basically a consultant, and they IBM will kind of have their feelers out, and they'll find a client that is in need of someone with your skill set and match you up, and then you'll work with them for however long their project lasts. And then once it's done, you're back at IBM, and they start the process all over again.
Okay.
So, for example, I've been on two projects for my stay at IBM, and it was pretty seamless the whole time.
Okay. So do you feel like, as far as the working portion, um, I guess, did you learn a little bit more than you did in the training portion? Like, did you pick up any extra skills on top of what you already got trained on during the training portion when you actually started, I guess, getting your hands in the dirt?
Oh yeah, for sure. Because whenever you're learning all the fundamentals and the basics, it's not like really. I mean, you can use that stuff in real life, but on your projects, for example, my project, it was SAP, but I did do full stack JavaScript development on top of an SAP server. So I used the web development stuff, but I also had to learn a lot about the SAP environment.
Okay.
And so it helped prepare me for that, because, once you understand the fundamentals, you can break down how, for example, SAP, a big enterprise software, works.
Okay. And as far as like the entire apprenticeship, usually at what point do they start? I guess at what point would apprentices know if they are going to get an offer for a full-time permanent role?
Okay, so that was okay. So in my apprenticeship, I was the first cohort I was with the first cohort at my center. And that was like hotly debated, right? I was under the impression that it wasn't 100% guaranteed that you're going to get the offer. And that turned out to be true. It's not 100% guaranteed, but with us, it was like 99% of people went through. It was only if you kind of really, really didn't mesh with the company and did not want to complete your modules that, you didn't get through.
Anything else that I probably didn't ask that you feel would be helpful or useful to people like me who are just about to begin the apprenticeship and stuff?
I mean, I think it's just that there needs to be more visibility. And if you think you know someone that doesn't like their current job, you should share this video maybe and shed some light on the apprenticeship. That is like, there's a bunch of apprenticeships popping up in America right now, and you should really consider joining it if you don't like your current job, because it's really life-changing. And it's, being able to work in tech and work with something that actually feels, like mentally satisfying every day is just incredible. So you sure you don't have any more questions? Just don't want to put you on the spot, but
I think so. As far as like pay and stuff, I've already pretty much got the answers as far as pay goes. I think that's mostly it.
Oh, I do have one for you.
Yes.
All right. So for anyone who's, who's like doubting maybe the weight of the name of IBM, IBM still carries a lot of weight in the industry, I think. And for example, if you work at IBM, it's gonna help your resume a lot. And I'm just gonna drop the news here. I actually put my 2 weeks in last week, and I'm moving on to the next step of my career. And that's just an example. Like, there's been a few other people in my cohort too that have been able to do the same thing. So especially if you don't have a college degree, having an apprenticeship under your belt that's approved by the Department of Labor as well is a great way to start your career. And yeah, if you want to stay at IBM, that's up to you. They're a great company too. But it just really opens the doors to you.
That's good to hear.
All right, man. All right, well, good luck with your apprenticeship, Rowan.
Thank you. I definitely think that was also something I know reading online that some people were concerned about as far as the weight of the actual company name on their resume versus, I guess, what some people would consider the larger or FANG companies. But it's good to know.
All right.
Other than that, how's Baton Rouge?
Oh, Baton Rouge, I've lived here for like 10 years. Yeah, over 12 years actually. And it's okay. It's not the best city in the world, but it's got enough of everything. It's like, it feels kind of like a small Houston or something. Maybe not. I'm not gonna go that far. It's okay, right?
Okay.
It's not the worst out there. Yeah. Cost of living is low, so getting paid whatever you get paid is gonna be enough, and then any raises from there, it's gonna be like just a bonus.
Okay.
The food scene is getting better. Can't really say much more about Baton Rouge.
That sounds cool. Hopefully one day in the future, I guess when they start opening up, I'll get to see it in person.
Yeah, man. Where are you going to be working from?
So for right now, I'm going to be working from Maryland.
Okay. And do they have any hard date for you to actually come to Baton Rouge?
No, they. So I've been told they have not the slightest clue right now when they're going to be doing the in-person or opening back up, which actually isn't really too much of an issue for me because having to make the move, and stuff. So if I have to do most of it remote, I'm cool with that. I mean, if I have to do all of it remote, I guess I'll be cool with that too. But I guess we'll see as we cross those bridges. So how different was the full-time role versus, I guess, at least the working part of the apprenticeship?
In the apprenticeship, there's no working part. You're just studying the whole time.
Okay.
And you're studying and completing projects based on what your manager comes up with. So it's completely different.
Okay.
You just what you're doing in the apprenticeship is you're gaining the tools that you need to do on the job. So I'm not sure what area of the company you're going to be in. If you're in like enterprise work, or if you're in say like a cloud division or like AI division or something. It really depends on where you've been put into and that's kind of the luck of the draw.
Okay, so usually are do you usually let them know what areas you're interested in, and they kind of somewhat take that into account, but nothing's guaranteed, but they kind of say, you know what, depending on your work ethic and what we see from you, we might consider you for this, I guess, department, whether it's AI or cloud, or whether just because you're interested in and you have shown and proven that you are a valuable commodity or something like that.
So that was kind of an issue too, because not really. You can like I kind of manipulated my way into being able to do what I wanted in within the enterprise system. But most people, um, you're kind of whatever you're recruited into is what you're gonna have to work on pretty much.
Okay.
So if you pull a short stick and then get something that you don't like, you might have to stick with it until you can transfer or something like that. And normally they ask you to wait a couple of years before you transfer.
Okay.
And yeah, that is something to think about. And I mean, I have to say that off the record, even though I mean it's gonna be on the record.
Yeah.
It's gonna be in the video, but that's definitely not something IBM is gonna tell you. And it's also not like it's not 100% always gonna be like that. I'm just saying that based on my experience, what I observed, right?
Okay. Sounds good. I don't think I have much of anything else. Thank you for taking this time and answering my questions and bringing more clarity to, I guess, what the next step for me and others will be.
Hey, man. Well, this is Rowan. It's gonna be. Do you have any final words to say to everybody?
So everybody, you guys watch the video. If you had any questions maybe that I didn't ask, you got the man right here to answer them for you. So go for it. Ask those questions. It's your life, it's your career. So get the insights you need and keep moving forward.
All right, guys. This is ex IBM Code Pony out. Peace.